Bună ziua, everybody! I have always been naturally gifted at a thing called thinking, while being naturally incompetent at a thing called doing. And as much as I've tried to occupy myself lately with doing, my brain still somehow found plenty of time to do thinking. Am I an engineer? Do I want to be an engineer? What do engineers do? What do engineers know? How do engineers think? What even is engineering? According to my friend Yuri, engineering is just arts and crafts for autistic people. Anecdotes aside, let's look at the facts. What does engineering literally mean? Well, it comes from the Latin ingeniare, which means to contrive, which means to create through deliberate use of skill or cleverness. So cartoon villain activities, basically. Like Dr. Plankton, Dr. Doofenshmirtz, Dr. Nimnol, the Gargamel? I suppose they don't have a grad school in Smurf Village. Yet, believe it or not, engineers aren't wizards, they actually exist. In fact, I'd argue that human beings as a species are engineers, and my evidence for that is that it's probably the oldest profession. I mean, the first engineer was an ape that figured out that if you sharpen a rock before smashing it on a fellow ape's head, you're almost guaranteed to win that fight. Since the dawn of civilization, our societies relied most heavily on these three types of people. Those that optimized the way we made food, those that optimized the way we build infrastructure, and those that optimized the way we make weapons to steal food and infrastructure from other societies. So agricultural, civil, and mechanical engineers. That's why you can't trust the mechs. Sie haben Blut an ihren Händen. Hauptsächlich Schmiermittel, aber Blut auch. So engineers are people who create stuff. What kind of stuff? Well, everything. That's why there's so many different flavors. Good old civil engineering flavor creates infrastructure. Mechanical flavor creates machines. Electrical creates electronics. Blue raspberry... No, wait, that's bubblegum. Software engineers create software. Chemical engineers create materials that other engineers use. You thought I was gonna say chemicals. Of course, there are a lot more flavors, but that's for another video. Everything I've said so far you could Google. You might not think to, but you could, and in my opinion, that isn't substantial enough to make my own video. So, here is my true agenda. I believe engineering goes beyond a profession or degree. I mean, haven't you ever met a child that you knew would grow up to be an engineer? The child didn't know calculus or have a bad accreditation. Yet something about their essence made you feel that way. So, what is the essence of an engineer? It's easy to define what makes an engineer's mind, but what makes an engineer's soul? In The Rise of the Guardians, there is a scene where North explains to Jack Frost the reason he was chosen to be a guardian. He had big eyes full of wonder that saw things others didn't. He wanted to share that wonder with others through his creations. But Sasha, isn't he talking about artists, not engineers? Well, here's my controversial take. I think artists and engineers at soul are very similar. They both wonder, and they both have a drive to create. The difference is that artistic creations serve a philosophical and aesthetic purpose, while engineering creations are more practical and analytical. Both ponder about the world. The artist asks why, the engineer asks how. The artist comments on existence, the engineer improves it. We have discussed what engineering is, but that still doesn't answer the important question. Am I an engineer? The next video in this series is going to dive into how an engineer's mind is wired. In fact, I'm planning to quiz you. Don't bother studying, it won't be what you expect. That's it for now, мои дорогие. La rivedere. Па-па.